Hi, this is Mara at the Brahma Kumaris Meditation Center in Halifax. And today we're having a conversation about feeling disconnected in these times, in this big change to our routines, people working from home, children at home, all of our normal routines being disrupted. And just this feeling of feeling maybe isolated or disconnected or discombobulated maybe in all this change. So today we're having a conversation with our yogis on this topic. And we just did a little bit of writing, and now we're just going to share some of our thoughts on this topic. So I'm looking forward to this very much. So Leela is going to start us off with her thoughts. Go ahead, Leela.
Thanks, Mara. Connection to others and meaning in our world is so important for each of us. We can connect through online and social media means, and this certainly helps. However, with less face-to-face time, perhaps we can take this opportunity to look at the quality of our relationships, connections, and contacts with others. Perhaps being given this time can encourage us to reflect on the quality of our relationships and how each can be improved upon in tiny, minuscule ways, but with the intention of being clearer in our communication and being cleaner in our relating. We can bring a fresh new set of eyes to our every relationship, choosing to see only the good in each other and leaving the gossiping or negative talk alone. This will take a conscious effort, and like all spiritual efforts, may not follow a linear line, but just having this intention can bring significant results. Of course, while choosing to see each other and each person in your world in their best light will have ripple effects on your own heart, making it bigger and bigger with each new day.
Thank you, Leela. Wow, I love what I'm hearing. That is so beautiful. I just saw an expanding heart. I love this theme of cleaner and clearer in our relationships, seeing only the good, really being more focused on that intention, especially as some of these relationships are a little bit maybe closer to us now, all in the same home than they used to be. And you can see how sparks can fly, little sandpaper friction. Thank you, Leela. That's beautiful. Judy, how about you?
Thank you, Mara. I was thinking about how we are such social creatures, and even the introverts amongst us need contact with our special few. So it's just really important to feel connected. And I've noticed a beautiful outpouring on Facebook and Zoom, communities getting together and individuals offering to share their talents and their time to connect with each other. So I'm really quite touched by this reaching out. You know, there's this shared impulse, you know, to connect in a time where we are separated physically from each other. But then I was thinking, you know, you can feel isolated or disconnected even in a relationship. So it got me thinking about what does it really mean to stay connected, to feel connected. And because I know that the Zoom isn't always really satisfying for everyone. It is quite different. And it's funny, the track that I went down in my reflecting was thinking about Daddy Janky, who, as you know, has just recently kind of left us. And so lots of stories about her around, and she was our senior spiritual teacher. And I just remembered a vignette with her that somehow answered my question for me. And it was, I hadn't felt close to her for years. I watched others sit at her feet and rush to the front row to get a good seat. And I somehow didn't really feel very comfortable with that. I felt a little bit angry. I didn't want to be a groupie. I was shy. I was a bit nervous, and I always hung back. And one day I did my usual hanging back We were in a big gathering, and she normally gives, blessing card and a sweet to everybody at the end of every program. And I hummed back as I always did. And just before it was all done, she called me forward. I didn't even know she knew who I was. But anyways, she gave me this card and she gave me the sweet. And then she held on to the card and she didn't release it. So I was holding the card and kind of her hand, and she had my attention in that moment. And I looked into her eyes, and they were just so full of love. It was like falling into a pool of, warm chocolate. It was so lovely. Anyways, I looked in her eyes and she said something to me. Must have been translated because she doesn't speak that good English, but she said something like, "Daddy's finished now. It's up to you to come close." And in that split second, I realized, oh, she'd maybe been trying to get close to me. I don't know, but it was me who had been running away. It was me who, because I couldn't find a way that felt comfortable to come close, I was holding back. And from that moment forward, I just felt so close to her. And maybe because she had seen me, but I realized that close was a matter of the heart and the mind, and that I have felt close to her ever since, even though we've probably not been in the same room for more than 20 minutes twice a year for the last 10 years, but I still feel really close to her. So then it made me realize that I can feel distant with the person who's in the room next to me, and I can feel close to someone who's very far away. And so staying connected to me means opening my heart. And when someone is in my heart and I do feel close to them, then the longing to touch or to feel or to see them is different. And that actually the pure love in my heart will make me feel close no matter where they are. And this is just something I can experiment with in this time, just keeping that feeling of closeness alive in my heart and mind, and not shutting down the channels for that love to flow with any worry or fear or I guess even desire, just keeping that channel open. If there's love in the heart, then feelings of closeness are there, and we can trust that. Oh, that was my thought.
That's beautiful. I love this idea that it's up to me to feel that closeness, to open my heart and feel that closeness. And I can feel that regardless of how physically distant someone is or physically close they are, and vice versa. And yes, it's up to us to open our hearts if we want to feel that connection. Beautiful. David, how about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, thanks, Mara, and thanks, Leela and Judy as well. I really appreciate these conversations as they open up a whole new way of thinking for me. What I wrote today is we've all heard the advice for physical distancing and the encouragement that social distancing does not mean not connecting with loved ones. We're blessed with technologies, like others have said, that help us talk with each other and even see each other and share our experiences during these challenging times. We're learning, or I think we're learning, to share good stories as well as the frightening and confusing ones. And lots of people tell stories about reconnecting with people we may have lost touch with for months or even years. So there's lots of connecting going on in this time of disconnecting. But how do we ensure that the connections are deep and reassuring? How do we witness and show support during this unique time, while at the same time maintaining some sense of control over our own reactions and responses? The secret, I think, is nurturing the connections with myself and a connection with the Supreme. Some of my extroverted friends and atheist or agnostic friends have challenged me that this introversion and this link to God doesn't work for them. And I understand we're all on different paths, and like Judy said, we're all social beings in many ways. However, I've certainly found that taking the time to be silent, to be alone, to be reflective, if even for a few minutes, can help find power and positivity within ourselves that we can then share outwards in relationships with others. In that time of silence, we may also be surprised of the connections we make to the other energy or the supreme or nature or the cosmos or Allah or God or whatever we believe in. And find that that energy can inspire us, inspire our thoughts, our behaviors and actions, and in that way support and nurture those other relationships as well. It's not easy, it's not straightforward, but it is different. and maybe taking that kind of risk with ourselves and with the Supreme will help our relationships with others. And in these challenging, disconnected times, I think it's certainly worth a try.
Thank you, David. That's wonderful. So connection starts with yourself and with your supreme being, however that may look for you, and taking that time to be reflective and to go into the silence. And the word that came to mind as you were talking is nurturing a sense of wholeness within ourselves and with the whole that we're dealing with, and then bringing that sense of wholeness to our other relationships. I would love what I'm hearing. I feel like I need to take notes on all of these because there's so many great insights here. Thank you so much. Terry, how about you? What are your thoughts?
Thank you, Mara, and thank you to David, because and also to Judy and Leela. I guess what I was thinking was, when we are not in our same patterns of living, we can and do start to feel disconnected from who we are. Who am I if I really can't go to work? If I'm the main support for my elderly mother and I can no longer and visit, and I can no longer go and visit her, what does that mean who I am? I may be able to, I may define myself by my physical fitness, and so every day I go to the gym, but now the gyms are closed. So what does that mean for who I am? So all of the disconnections can make me feel isolated and alone, even if I'm living with a group, even when I'm living with my immediate family, but particularly if I live alone. So what can help this feeling of disconnectedness? Really, I need to come to terms with me. As David said, I need some time for quiet reflection of who I really am and what is my purpose. Seeing that I am a soul that moves this body is a start. Who is this one who I really am? What can I do to continue to support others in these times? How do I sustain myself? Well, one of the ways that has worked for me is I have developed a routine that is quite similar to my routine. I get up at the same time, I go to bed at the same time. So that's been a good start for me because it helps me feel a little bit of normalcy. That can help me feel stable inside when I feel normal. I've learned to spend quiet time while I'm cooking healthy food. I get out and go for walks. When I need to reach out to others, I do so by phone, or I do so by Zoom, by the social technologies. I don't listen to the news all day because it makes me feel bad. It makes me feel afraid. Rather, I listen to upbeat music or spiritual classes or something that really makes me feel good. And one of the things that I think is so important, has been for me, and maybe for you, is to make part of that routine a time for yourself. So you can go into meditation or go into self-reflection and think about what's important to you and how you would like, what you would like to do today, how you would like to create, what you would like to accomplish, rather than just sitting and watching the television. So all of these routine things, all of these frameworks that we can put around ourselves help to sustain the soul. And when I sustain the soul, then I become whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Such practical, great advice there, and so many good questions. And one of the things that you opened with was this notion of who am I anyway, and how this kind of change can be a real showstopper to our normal identities and who we think we are. And so the question is, so who am I right now in this moment? How do I redefine that, my sense of identity and purpose right now, given that these circumstances have changed? How do I create a more meaningful life for myself now and a new routine so that I can feel whole and feel connected to my identity and feel purposeful in this moment? Very nice. I took a lot of notes on that one. Thank you, Terry. Really, I just love what I'm hearing here today. I feel like this is such a gift to be able to hear all these wonderful views. Tim, how about you? What are your thoughts?
Hello, Mara. Hello, everyone. Thanks for your wonderful comments. It's been great to listen to this. It's quite inspiring. So when I'm feeling disconnected from others or a situation, I can go to two places. One is of fear, that I fear that I'm losing something and it'll never come back, or that the connection that I had will never be the same. And the other place I can go is appreciation. So use the time and that space to examine the qualities of what I was previously connected to and how I was connected to it. And what would I like to keep of that? And what would I prefer not to maintain? And make some sort of a plan of how to recreate that, how to reinvent that. Short and sweet.
I love it. And I think it really builds on what Terry was talking about, this notion of, and David, also in terms of going in and reinventing, reconnecting, examining, and also appreciating. So quite an interesting fork in the road: fear or appreciation. Beautiful. Debbie, what are your thoughts on this feeling disconnected? Love to hear.
Thanks, Mara, and thanks, everybody. I'm digesting all that I've heard, and I'd like to add a few things. Being disconnected. I know this experience. Being disconnected from people I usually spend time with or have had a regular routine with, and boom, they're gone. Many of these disconnections are choices the other people make. They choose to live in another country, as I did at one time. And the consequences for those who are left behind are difficult to deal with because the person you want to connect with and talk about it with is the one who left you disconnected. The same happens when someone leaves through death's door. They are just not there to talk to, but they are. Whether in our imagination or using another medium or person to be that person for your need to talk and discuss things with, it may require a new understanding of what you really want or need. Sit down and quietly ask yourself what you're looking for and brainstorm 3 new ways or 3 new people to create that with, and do it. And don't leave God or yourself out of the equation. I'm sitting here by my window, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw the swinging bench that we have. And I was sitting there with my mom. Moment by moment, they're all around us. Thank you.
Beautiful. This kind of reminds me of what Judy was talking about when we open our hearts, we can feel that connection, whether people are there physically or not. And a very nice question of what are some new ways that I can feel that sense of connection, new people, or how can I create that experience for myself if I'm not having it now? And we can be creative in how we do that. There are many ways. Thank you so much. Well, I think I certainly enjoyed hearing all of these insights and ways and perspectives on feeling more connected in a time of maybe we're feeling disconnected. I'm going to read what I wrote. I feel like I can just maybe read it. I tend to go into a stream of consciousness mode of writing. So here it goes. Feeling disconnected. The children are home and need attention. You are now working from home and so is your spouse. Your dog needs attention. The phone is ringing. Everything feels way too connected and way too disconnected. You might be feeling irritable, upset, isolated. You're in transition. This is definitely an intermission from your routine life. But what is your inner mission now? What would the energy of love in you do right now? And how may you be more loving in this moment with yourself and others? Well, the external world may feel chaotic with minute-by-minute crisis updates on TV. And you may be feeling both connected to this and disconnected to it at the same time. How do you find your inner connection, your inner stability and peace in this time? Again, what would the energy of love do here and now? How can you feel more connected with the peace and love that resides inside of your soul? Strive to make your inner world peaceful, whole, and connected. In spite of it all, in this moment, strive to find your way back home, and all will be well, in whatever means works for you to do so, whether it's being in nature, taking quiet time in reflection, meditation, connecting with your inner soul and your higher being. What would the energy of love do now? Thank you, everybody, for being on this podcast and being in the conversation about feeling disconnected at this time and how to create more of a feeling of connection. Thank you, everyone.